feels like we've lived a life since Bryce Young was drafted
so much
by
has
the Panthers.
happened. Golly.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, and that trade will still be felt this year and even next year with picks that were given up to move up to go get Bryce Young. That's that moment right there. The Panthers select Bryce Young is the reason why the Panthers don't have anything to no picks to make today during the first round of the NFL draft. The Panthers' hopes today are simply that players that they don't like get drafted. That's all they can hope for. Every time somebody is picked and it's not somebody the Panthers like, they go, yay! And they just sit and watch and then get ready to field calls for the 33rd pick later on in the night. But it is a bit more complicated than that. We know the positions that the Panthers need because we've broken down over the previous 10 days their entire roster. We know the positions they need, and we know the positions that they need to fix in the draft. Receiver, corner, edge, some would say interior defensive line. I think they're good there. But those, right, receiver, corner, edge rusher, that's what I'm looking at. So the easiest path to the Panthers having a successful draft is if there is a massive run on positions other than wide receiver, corner, and edge. Every time, and that pretty much goes without saying, right? So every time a quarterback is taken, the Panthers should celebrate a little bit. Every time an offensive lineman is taken, the Panthers should celebrate a little bit. Every time an off-ball linebacker is taken, a safety is taken, they should celebrate. A running back, if there is any, which there probably won't be, they should celebrate. Then they would get closer to their choice, their pick of the litter, at a premium position that they need at pick 33. Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft analyst, was with Mina Kimes, ESPN NFL analyst, and they talked about the dream wide receiver that could fall to the Panthers at 33.
I think it's Legette. You have to help Bryce, and giving him someone who can body defensive backs that can win on slant routes. I think back to when Drew Brees had Michael Thomas, that guy who could just win on those quick hitters. He's going to be able to shield defenders from the ball and then make something happen after the catch. So I know they drafted Jonathan Mingo last year, didn't have great returns rookie year. And I think Legette gives you so much more burst, so much more juice after the catch.
Yeah, he's sort of like budget Brian Thomas Jr. in a way. But I like it too. I like his fit with Deontay Johnson, who they've got. I think that's a complementary skill set. You talk about Legette creating after the catch. Johnson's so good at getting open. They work different parts of the field. Both are just dramatically an improvement in terms of like the playmaking ability over what you had in the offense last year.
Xavier Legette. That's who they think is the dream falls to them. I've also seen him listed as a dark horse first round pick. So it's like, which one is he? Is he supposed to fall to the second round, or is he not supposed to fall to the second round? Or does nobody really know? There's also that possibility. But here's the secondary, the other way the Panthers can have a successful draft, right? Because part of it is luck. If a player you love, just the other teams don't, and they fall to you, and you get to make the pick, and you have one of those picks, legendarily. This is one of my. This is like a tradition on draft day. I have to bring it up. When it was a COVID draft, I believe.
Okay.
So the Vikings, it was Chris Spielman, it was Mike Zimmer, that little contingent were on all their Zoom calls, and it was being recorded by the NFL. And they knew they wanted a wide receiver, and they wanted Justin Jefferson. And they knew the pick right before them was Philly, and they knew they wanted a wide receiver. So they were waiting on pins and needles to see if they could get Justin Jefferson. And when the pick came in that the Philadelphia Eagles had selected Jalen Reagor, they couldn't help themselves but to like ear-to-ear smile, which you don't see often when, oh, what dummies. They're leaving Justin Jefferson. And one of them literally says, like, Put in the card, Justin Jefferson. Like, they were so excited that their guy fell to them. Best case scenario is that happens every year, right? You identify your favorite player like 10 picks before yours, and then 10 picks go by, and they aren't picked, and you're just like, ha, 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 what dummies. But if that doesn't happen, there's still a way for the Eagles to – sorry, the Eagles. Now I'm talking about the Eagles. There's still a way for the Panthers to have a successful draft. You just have to include a middleman. right? So let's say there's a huge run on wide receivers. And the top corners you have drafted on your board get drafted, and the edge rushers you have at the top of your board get drafted. But there's a huge value at quarterback, or a huge value at interior defensive line or interior offensive line, where you just spent $153 million on Hunt and Lewis.
One of those offensive tackles slips down.
Then you can still get your value at a position of need, but you need to introduce the middleman. You need to go call a team that needs one of those positions and milk them for all they're worth, get the future picks, trade back in the second, find the value somewhere else. So if you're a Panther, if you're in the Panthers organization, it's much easier to do option A than option B. It's much less of a flex by your GM to do option A than option B. Option B, there's moving parts. You need to not only evaluate a trade appropriately, but play the interpersonals of the back and forth negotiation, bringing in another team. How much information do you reveal to each team in a bidding war? You need to do all of that appropriately, as opposed to getting lucky and just sitting there and saying, Xavier Legette, we have a first-round draft on him. Or Legette, we have a first-round draft grade on him, and he's the 16th best player in the draft to us, and he fell all the way to us at 33. That's just, you celebrate. So as a Panthers fan, that's what you're rooting for. Mm-hmm. Pick the receiver you like. Pick the edge you like. Pick the corner you like. Pick whoever it is. And then just fingers crossed. Hope it's not a strategy, but it's all you have when you don't have a pick. And I said this earlier in the week. I think it's the best way to describe it. I think they'd like to trade into the first round. I think they can't afford it. I think they would like to trade into the first round. I don't think they have the resources to do so. Right? Just like any of us when you go looking for a new house or looking for a new car. You know what? You know where there's always the coolest houses when you're looking for a house?
Where?
Like $20,000 above your budget. Right? You set a budget. I'm just going to pick a random number. You set a budget at $100,000, right? Because it's nice and easy. I guarantee you the coolest house in the world is like $120,000. It has everything you want. It's the same in the draft. You have the 33rd pick. There's going to be 7 guys you like available at 20, and it's going to feel like they're all gone before 33. Unless you get lucky. Unless they pass on him. Unless the Eagles are dumb enough to take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson.
A lot of people make dumb moves, but I think as well today, my gut just tells me we're going to see a ton of trades today.
I agree.
Which
makes it even more difficult to track.
Exactly. It's a difficulty to track, but also you never know. It's one of those players that like you said, that you really like. Heck, even one of the top corners, like a Kool-Aid McKinstry might slide to you at 33, and you're like, well, actually, we could get a wide receiver at 39. We also really need a corner, and one of the best ones is sitting there. We could take that too.
Yep.
It's always a possibility.
And you have to be ready to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready to pivot. The luxury for the Panthers is they do have that overnight to talk everything out.
Yeah.
Most teams have, for their first pick, have 15 minutes to get it right. The Panthers have hours and hours, right? So you can stay up late, you can sleep on it, you can wake up early and start it all over again and change your mind and do everything else you want.
You get a full day.
And you can field a whole bunch of calls, and you can try to pin teams against each other and then let it simmer and then call them back. Like, Dan Morgan's going to have to be a GM. Or that's obviously what he is, but he's going to have to be that wheeling and dealing businessman that, they make movies about.